Ironman Coeur D'Alene 2023 edition athlete guide has just been posted. So without further ado, let's dive into the details here. Make sure you are reading the athlete guide, and I might miss a couple things here and there, but make sure you read that athlete guide. Starting on page 4, we have the event schedule. Things kick off Thursday, where you do have the possibility to check in from noon to 5 at the city park right there. Village is also open during that time as well, and there is an athlete briefing at 1 and 3 p.m. right there. Friday, athlete check-in again, 9 to 5, last day to check in at the same spot. We also have the village open again, the stores open. We do have 2 additional briefings at 11 and 2 with the welcome ceremony at 7. Saturday, we have the kids fun run registration there, and the run happening at 9 a.m. So make sure you head over to there if you want to do that. Really fun time. Mandatory bike and gear bike and timing chip pickup happens at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. there. You will get your timing chip after you check in your bike and bags. Sunday, race day, transition opens at that 4:30 a.m. There is no need to get body marked unless you want to body mark yourself. There is a pro race that is happening at this event. 6 a.m. start time for the men, 6:05 for the women. Age groupers start at that 6:30. If you are an age grouper, I would expect the pros to finish one loop before you even get in the water, so there's no need to stress about trying to get in with the pros. You might be able to mix it up a little bit with the professionals, absolutely, and faster age groupers will be catching some of the women professional racers, which is really, really cool. After that, mandatory bike and gear checkout 5:30 to noon, and then the next day we have the awards ceremony and championship slot allocation roll down happening at 9 a.m. the next day. Celebration breakfast is 8 to 10. So if you do want to go to those or think you're close, make sure you do that. Page 6, athlete check-in, when and where it is located right there. Make sure you save these addresses here. And your packet's going to include all of those things listed. Bring your ID, bring your race registration active QR code, all of that good stuff. Bike stickers here. You will not be able to have any other stickers on your bike frame, so make sure you take away any stickers from past events. They must have had something happen this year, because that is something new on an athlete guide that I have not seen thus far this year. Pre-race info located on page 8. Again, make sure you are saving these addresses in your phone or wherever. Send them to whoever's going to be your support crew if you have some people there for you. All those addresses are on page 8. Mandatory athlete briefings right here. Mandatory bike check-in. It is happening on Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. in the Coeur d'Alene City Park. Okay, you must have your bike checked in overnight, and the full bike covers are not allowed, but something that I did see when reading this ahead of time was you will have access to your bike at 4:30 a.m. That's not what I was talking about. You are going to be allowed to cover your seats and handlebars only from inclement weather. So if you wanted to do something like that, you have the possibility to do that. Last big thing here, you will pick up your timing chip when leaving the bike check-in area after you drop off your bike. And last pre-race thing, you are allowed to swim in the water. It is at your own risk. There are no lifeguards, and they do their best to inspect the entry and exit. Gear bags on page 8. We have the blue gear bag, run gear bag, orange personal needs bike bag, and the black run personal needs bike bag. There's also going to be some morning clothes bags. There's usually white when they come in your packet. If you do not get one, make sure you ask for one. Race morning info located on page 10. Again, transition opens at 4:30. Race day parking, they say that all parking will be free on the streets unless it's designated no parking. So make sure you are aware of that. Body marking, again, doesn't happen at this race. 8 stations on the bike are 15 miles apart, and the run every mile-ish apart with all of these fixins here. They also say these are general offerings, so I would expect to see the first 8 station out on the run to have ice, things like that. Make sure you keep your eyes peeled for some things like that. Now, transition cutoffs or race day cutoffs are on page 12, and post-race info like lost and found photography is on page 14. Qualifying, remember, it happens the next day. Scroll back to the video to check out when. The next day at 9 a.m. Is on page 16 Now let's get into the main nitty-gritty details of this race. This is a reverse Lake Placid course. You will start over here. It is a counterclockwise loop, and you do have to get out of the water before getting back in. So let's dive into the main specifics here. So starting off, it is a time trial start. For most people, not age groupers, professionals will be starting off all at once. During this section right through here, it's going to be fast, it's going to be heavy. And just like on the bike, people are going to be establishing themselves right out of the gate. This is going to be an area where you need to be ready. If you have the ability to do a pre-race swim, do it. Okay, you really want to be ready to go right from the get-go. And if you arrive at this section out on the race day and you are kind of in no man's land, you have to make a decision whether you're going to bridge up to the next group or fall back and let the other group catch you to kind of fall in the pack there. And that's something that I can't answer for you. It's going to have to be an in-the-race moment. If someone, or let's say a group of 20 are going up the water here, and you are left behind chasing with a group of 5, I would try to bridge that gap if you arrive at this section and you have missed the boat. You need to make those selections. Even if you're an age grouper here, you need to make those selections at this point in time. This section out through here, you're going to be turning directly into the sun or part of the sun right through here, so you might have the ability to stay away a little bit if you're in a smaller pack, which will only benefit you more. So bottom line here on this first half of the swim, make sure you're with somebody. If you're alone, you need to figure out how you can get with a group of people. Find somebody's feet, use them to your benefit, because now we are coming back in, and this section is going to be a faster section, believe it or not, of the swim course here. Because this is a swim exit, you have to get out over here. The professionals at this point in time will be flying, okay? Do not fall off the pace here. It's very common for ankle biters in the professional ranks to fall off right through here and then just be stuck in the middle of everyone, okay? Don't fall off the packs here. If you're an age grouper, this is a perfect time to leapfrog some individuals here. During this point in time here, you also need to be ready to go across the beach here and run. So that means you're going to have to be actively kicking your feet and be ready to go to that beach area. Once you do go around these areas and enter the water again, be careful with those first couple of steps in the water. All right, if you are not super adjustable from the land to or water to land, you might want to take the 5, 6, 7 steps into the water and just get yourself in there before going back again. If you're ready to rock, go for it, but just be careful and have the blood in your legs ready to go so you don't cramp up or have a toe cramp right through here. Last big section here on the first lap tip. You might be able to cut this corner. You have had the option before. There might be someone else blocking the way, but if there's no one blocking the way, and more importantly, there is not a buoy you have to go around over here, then I do not see a reason why you cannot totally just cut this section right through here. Okay, that could save you a bit of time. It could allow you to jump up to the next group, but just make sure if you do that, you do not have to pass through something like a buoy over here. They probably will have something marked out, and they're probably going to have updated maps at the race venue. So make sure you check that out, and maybe you just ask a question or two and see if it is indeed possible. On to that second loop here. Second loop is going to be very akin to that first loop here. This whole section right through here is going to be fast. This whole swim is going to be fast. And I would just rock with the group that you're in at this point in time. Unless they are totally going off the walls here and really, really slow, I would just stick with them and allow them to kind of pull you along. And if you do have to do some turns, that is perfectly okay, but you don't want to be doing all of the turns here. That's a big, big key here. A lot of people will just sit on and let you do that because they know what's coming up on the bike. And if that's the case, you might have to do a little bit extra work, but you really want that pace to remain as is here. At this point, right through here, the selection process is kind of finalized for the swim. You don't really want to make too many bold surges after that point in time, because if you do, pros and cons are going to far outweigh you in the terms of the con. If you get out 30 seconds before a group of 10, that group of 10 is going to steamroll you for the first 10 miles on the bike, almost guaranteed, unless you are able to catch another group ahead of you. All right, this section right through here, you should be actively going through your head and thinking about what's going on in the next part of our race coming up on the bike, because it is a doozy. So let's dive in to the bike. So this is located on page 22 of your athlete guide. Something just didn't seem right, so I wanted to make my own here, and we do have about 7,400 feet of elevation gain. If you do read the athlete guide, they will tell you that there is about 7,100 feet of elevation gain. I think the reality is it's going to be somewhere in between, maybe slightly more than this. But here's what we got right here, and we have a great example of something like this. Okay, this is our best bike split plan. And you could see that for the first half, we'll bounce around here, we are going to go down this section out and then back up before we do the main drag here. So let's dive into this first little section right through here where we go through the town, right along the lake. It's a nice little ride here. We only have about 800 feet of that elevation gain, and the majority of that happens right through here. And this is going to be a section that causes issues, and it's not going to happen in this section, but it'll pop up later. During this section, it needs to be fast, the bottom line. Okay, it's got to be fast here, but you have to be within your limits here. This is going to be the time where you establish yourself. This is going to be a time where people are going to be exploding themselves out on race day. During this section, we are going to have a crosswind coming from the left, at most times a headwind, and then when we turn around, we're going to have a cross tailwind, which will be great for us. And you can see that first little section on the way out is a great opportunity to just totally explode yourself for these first 7 miles. Yeah, it's only 400 feet of elevation gain-ish, but you're going to be battling the headwinds. You're going to be battling people. If you are a professional and you are trying to make the selection, then that's a different story. Absolutely, you have to kind of stay with those groups. You're kind of bounded by that. And if you are in a pack, whether you're an age grouper or a pro, you're going to have to stay with that pack during this section, whether you kind of like it or not. When you do turn around, we are going to have that tailwind like we talked about before, and that is going to make it even harder for you to kind of bridge your gaps. So I'm going to put a timeline on you that says you have about 6.5 miles for you to bridge up from where you are to the next group. You're going to have an opportunity to see how far away these people are, and you might be able to make that grade coming up here on the way back. Passing transition again before we start the major climbs, but that's a lot of time to just be kind of on your own or chasing right through here from mile, let's call it 6.5, all the way to 18, 19 miles before the climb proper starts. That's a long time to be chasing. So after you do pass that transition area, we're going to highlight the meat and potatoes of this course here. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for us. Thank you. So you can see these hills are just up and down. They are aggressive. The max elevation you're going to find here, it says it's 20%, and I do not doubt it. There's going to be a couple of areas where it is tough. So because of that, don't be afraid to get up out of the saddle, but if you find yourself up out of the saddle for an extended period of time, you're going to be in trouble later on. Going back to that best bike split here, once we start these climbs up through here, we do have a bit of a tailwind, which will help us on the way out. It's going to hurt us on the way back, so just be aware of that. Okay, going faster, and then we do climb, and we have a perfect tailwind before we come back around for it to start all over again on the way back. But let's talk about out for a second here. We have 1,700 feet of our 7,400 feet of elevation gain. We have an average gradient of a plus 0.6, which is a lot considering we have a major downhill mixed in to this section here. You can see it's lumpy, it's up, it's down, it's going up. This is a climber's paradise through here. If you are behind and you are trying to bridge up to another group, this is going to be an opportunity where that happens. If you are in a group, be aware of the fast movers out here, especially early on. If there's people putting out attacks and it is flying, it's going to be rough to hang on. Professionals, girls or guys, be aware of this first hill. It's almost always a stepping stone for athletes to break away from each other. And a group that is here at, let's say they got 20 people, it almost always breaks up at this point in time. So be aware of that. It is okay. And again, you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons. Is a group of 30 getting away from me? Yeah, I got to go with that move. Is the group of the 5 front runners going away? Yes, I think I have to go with them if I want a chance for a podium. And that does happen as early as 19, 20 miles in. Okay, you will be able to get up this hill not easy, but doable, right? And then you do have a bouncy downhill coming after that. Now, the next big key to the course here that we are going to highlight is this section here. Max gradient 11.7, a little bit manageable, a little less lumpy, but more positive through this section here in terms of elevation gain. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to blow your legs. Most groups really survive that first big hill. Most people can stick with one hill. You know, they're there for a reason, whether that's an age grouper or a pro. But something that does happen at this course, since it is just a highway route, a lot of times people will get in these giant echelon lines, right? And if you are the new guy on the block, it is very common here for an athlete to enter a draft zone of the person in front of them and then go around, but then they've also entered the draft zone of the next person, so they have to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's very easy for you to pop yourself at this race all the way out to the downhill. It takes a long time to do it because you're going uphill, right? Your power is going to be a little bit higher. But if you keep entering draft zones, it's not uncommon for you to arrive at this turnaround point. You've been passing people this entire time, and you come back around here, and it's rough, you know, because you spent all that time, all that energy going through people, and now they've been hanging out. You've been working to go pass, and that is something that does happen at this course. So just be aware. If you're going to pass, make sure you're aware of not only what's ahead of you, but also who is ahead of you from there. And if you can't pass the next 3 or 4 people, you might just want to sit in there. When we do turn around, remember, we're through here. We do make that turn, and it is usually a headwind all the way back to that transition area. And so if we look back at our our tracker through here, we're going to highlight pretty much this section up until that transition. And again, we got 1,300 more feet coming back here. Again, headwind, so it's going to be even tougher here. Remember, those speeds are going to be a little bit higher on the way out. Adrenaline's still going to be pumping, and we are over here. We're at mile 35, so the race is relatively fresh at this point in time still. Once we start this section, by the time it ends, it will not be fresh. At this section here, athletes, this is where they usually explode because they went out too hard. So make sure you are aware of the weather here. This is an opportunity for stronger athletes or athletes who have paced this up until this section a little bit better, stronger, to break away from others, whether they're age groupers, professionals, guys or girls, doesn't matter. Some of the dynamics almost always change at this point in time of the race. Okay, stronger athletes will start to just naturally surge away. They'll just start to just tap it out on the pedals. Others will start to have a little choppier pedal strokes, so make sure you're aware of what's happening out there on race day. Once you get back, we do have a nice little section here. Always an athlete favorite the second time they go around. Remember, speeds will be a little bit higher through here more consistently. It is a 22-mile section with about, let's call it 1,000 feet of elevation gain mixed in through here. There is a city portion as well, so you're going to have to be on your P's and Q's. There's going to be tight turns. There's going to be a little more people everywhere here. Make sure you are looking out for pedestrians. It's not uncommon for them to get in the way at some sections during this portion of the race. After you get out of the city, it kind of dissipates a little bit, and you have a great out and back section. This section can be very, very tough for you mentally, so just be prepared for that to happen, okay? Attack that section the same you would with any other one, and then you get to come back into the city again. So don't be mentally down if you arrive at this section and the race isn't kind of going the way you want to. Chances are you can turn it around. We have a whole loop to come back through again, going back through the best bike split again. Once we do make that turn again for that second loop, we are greeted with a nice tailwind or a cross tailwind in most sections, and when we do turn around, it picks back up. When we do come back into town, we are typically coming at a headwind of about 10 miles an hour. So that aero profile that you carry on your bike is going to be very, very beneficial or essential through some of these sections here. And when we're going up the hill, like 6, 7, 8%, 9% and above, aero, you're going so slow anyways, probably shouldn't be in that aero position. I would maximize some of those bullhorn times and, get up the hill with the power that you can put out. But anytime you start to get over that 13, 14 mile an hour threshold, then the aerodynamics become exponentially important as you pick up speed there. So that is the bike course in a nutshell. As you're going back out the second time, again, you want to be pacing yourself and, still going at a good clip, but being prepared to come around and ready to work on the way back if the weather's holding true to what it is now. Use that out section as a time to fuel up, and use that back section as a time to kind of get through the wind. If you do have breaks in the wind, make sure you're keeping the pressure on the pedals, because that will allow you to slice through those dead sections a lot easier in the wind. And believe it or not, that is the bike course in a nutshell. Okay, do not totally go out and totally crush things on the way out. And let's see here. So if you did go 5% faster, the areas where you would have the most bang for your buck are at this section right through here on the way out. You'll save 10.8 seconds. Then on the way back, you're going to save another 12.4 seconds through this point in time. And again, if you were to go 5% faster here, you would be, let's call it 5 minutes faster, again, depending on aero profile. So something to think about, weighing the pros and the cons, and again, keeping that stress of the total event in mind when you are weighing those pros and cons. Bike course rules on page 25 and 26 per usual, and then the run course, which up here I have created my own just in case. This is one loop of the run course through here, and again, this is a lumpier course. I think this is going to benefit a lot of people instead of just the flat, typical sections that you see out on race day. This is going to create some course variance for you, so you do not have to. If we do go to, let's go back to the main Ironman page. All right, perfect. So there's going to be a couple different areas. I believe that is the symbol for the active ice, or the run personal needs, excuse me, right through here on that second loop. And since it does, you do pass it 2 times, or way more than 2 times. I believe, it wasn't mentioned, but I believe you can access this whenever you want on the race course, because this is a 3-loop course. You're going to pass that and have ample opportunities to do so. I believe you can pick that up whenever you want, but I don't know if you can pick it up more than once. I believe the rule is you can only do once. Again, ask that at the athlete check-in, or the athlete briefing would probably be a better choice for you. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4 aid stations out on course, and again, you're going to be hitting those 3 different times, so 3 times 4 is 12, so you're going to have a lot of opportunities to fuel up. No real excuse here not to fuel appropriately or at all here at this race. And going back, because the course is a little bit lumpy, there is some opportunity to kind of lose focus, go down some of these steeper downhills. Here we have a negative 3.3% and negative 4.7% right through here. So some of these negative downhills, there is an opportunity for you to kind of forget your running form and just kind of go forget about it and go limp, essentially. When you do that, you're opening yourself up to your cramping. You're opening yourself up to potential negatives that you want to avoid on race day. Stay mentally sharp throughout this run, because it will kind of lull you to sleep a little bit. That second loop is going to be the moving loop here. Once you start that second loop of this run course, that's going to be the point in time where you need to start making decisions on whether you are holding your pace or picking it up slightly. Third loop, that's going to be the last opportunity, of course, to kind of go through the pack, but the time in between second and third lap is going to be essential. Essential. Take that the first half of the first loop to kind of establish yourself, get your feet ready to go again, and then once you start to come back to that park, right here, McEwen Park, once you start to go back to that park, the closer you get to it the first time, that's going to be the point in time where your race really, really kicks off, okay? There's going to be a lot of potential to have a really, really great day out here, or there's going to be potential to have a really poor day. And if you've overbiked it, don't be surprised if it takes you a little while to kind of ease back into it, or you're unable to hit your targets. Manage your paces, your targets, your power outputs, your heart rates. Manage them appropriately to what happened on the bike. The last huge tip for this course is that it is very common for athletes to show up here, bike the bike that they want to, and then ignore that and think that they're going to have a great run, or the run that they want to, even though they just had the bike of their dreams, you know. So if you do leave a little on the table on the bike, that's probably going to be the best situation here for race day success. I know you want to crush this bike, and you can, but leaving it up just a little bit to I could have done a little bit better on that bike is going to set you up for success on this race for sure. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them more in detail later. Good luck, everybody.